wanted to talk about passwords, right, Jason?
Yeah, Tom. Why why should you just say no to storing passwords in browsers?
Oh, well, history is full of all sorts of credentials being stolen from browsers. And this touches, I don't want to get into this too much, but, if the software of the company that you're using is providing it to for you for free, you're the product. And I know that Chrome is still the most popular browser out there. And often when Google has to make a decision and choose between profits or security and privacy, they choose profits. Facebook, it's free to use. You're the product that they're selling. Google is a huge company, and they get that because they're selling your information. Now, I'm not saying they're intentionally releasing your passwords. What I'm saying is that's not the overall objective of the company. The security and the privacy is number two or three down the list. Another problem with some browsers is it'll work on your PC, but not on your iPad. Okay. And so you don't have your passwords with you. And then the other part, so in fact, you should turn off browser storage of passwords as soon as you get a new computer. Just turn it off. All the browsers, turn it off. Don't do that. It's too risky. It's not really portable. If you use a PC and an iPhone, unless you're using Chrome on both, it's not going to sync up your passwords. Anyway, it's just a bad practice. So what other methods are out there? Well, sticky notes. 90% of the, you can write your credentials down on a sticky note and put it on your monitors, so anybody that walks in your office can see your credentials. Others, 90% of the last research I read says that 90% of the population reuse the same password. Their first child's name, their pet's name, and their anniversary date. So Fido, January 27th, you know, 1992 or whatever. Or where you went to college. In our case, it would be Razorback 123. You can get this information off of LinkedIn. And if you reuse the password over and over again across multiple sites and applications and your computer, once any one of the places you use that same sets of credentials gets compromised and your password and your username is stolen, criminals and others will test it on all sorts of other public-facing websites, health systems, banks, financial companies, any login that's popular, that's used by a lot of people. Chase, Citi, E-Trade, Merrill Lynch, Edward Jones. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. So if your credentials are the same on Facebook as it is for your $1 million Edward Jones account, and Facebook gets compromised again, well, they're just going to go start trying Chase, Citi, Edward Jones, whatever. Anything they can learn about you, they'll just try it. And these are generally automatic, right? It's not one guy, sitting down on a keyboard and copying and pasting your credentials in. They got automated bots to do all this at scale. So they're going to find it and find it quick. So reusing passwords, and like I said, 90% of the population does it, even though 60% know they shouldn't. So what's the answer? Well, if you live in the Apple world, especially if everything's Apple, you bought into the whole ecosystems, Apple's Keychain is very, very secure. It's a great way to do it. Unfortunately, it's not completely full featured in the way that a third-party password manager is. Now, Apple is releasing apps, so you'll actually have a password app from Apple. So I think it's supposed to be out this year. And I think they're going to release it for PCs as well. So that's, you got the full synchronization, your portability of your credentials, which is great. I trust Apple with my data. So that may be a good alternative. In the meantime, a password manager such as 1Password or Keeper are really two really good password managers. We're a Keeper partner, but I really like 1Password as well. There's others out there I've tested over the years that are also very good. And when you first get what you're going to say, okay, I'm convinced, I'm going to quit reusing my passwords, and you install it. And then it's a little bit annoying and people quit using them. I promise you, if you keep going, you stick with it for just a few days, you'll get over that little, because there's nothing wrong with the password manager, but because of the way websites are programmed and stuff like that, they don't work as flawless as they should, or as well. They work flawlessly if the website is configured properly. Like recently, Slack quits. Slack made a change to their MFA, that multi-factor authentication, that 6-digit number you have to log in with. And Keeper used to automatically stuff that in there. And sometime in the last few months, it quit doing it. Now, I haven't really talked about it with anybody, but I don't know if that's my computer or if it's just something Slack did to the website. And so you have to kind of get used to the quirkiness. None of them are perfect in that regard. But I promise you, stick with it for a month, and you'll wonder how you ever lived without a password manager. I've been using one for over 30 years. And I used LastPass for a long time, but I would not use LastPass. If you're using LastPass, I'd recommend switching. They've had some problems for the past 2 or 3 years, and I don't think it's worth the risk. Now, typically, the cynics will say, well, that's a single point of failure, right? So if your master password, the keys to the kingdom, is ever compromised, they can get everything, all of your credentials. And that is true. That's why it's super, super important to make sure that master password is as secure as it possibly can be. No pets' names, no college mascots, none of that stuff. Phrases are really good. They need to be long and need to keep that out of the hands. Now, then you hear about, well, what happens if Keeper themselves get compromised or 1Password gets compromised? They don't have access to they cannot access your credentials. When you add a password to one of these products, it's encrypted before it even leaves the computer. And and you can turn it off. You don't even have to synchronize it, but it's encrypted at the storage on the computer itself, and before it's synchronized with your other devices. So even, if you lose your master password, and some of them have got some things, some safety nets for this, but the ultimate deal is no one at Keeper or 1Password or all of the others, as far as I know, no one there can hack into your account and steal your credentials. So that means hackers can't hack in and steal your credentials from those platforms. Now, they can install a keylogger on your computer and get it that way. But the simple fact of the matter is there's no 100% security when it comes to credentials yet. There's some promising technologies, been promising for years now. But it looks like it's coming along now. And right now, we recommend a password manager. And unfortunately, it's one of the hardest things we convince our clients to do. It's unfortunate, and we don't understand it. And all we can do is do what we're doing here today, is educating that you need everyone, personal life, business, it doesn't matter what it is. You need to use a password manager and take it seriously. Make security job one.